Welcome to my last lectionary study for the Old Testament for June 19th, 2022. The last one I will be doing on the YouTube channel for the First United Methodist Church of Columbus. After this Sunday, I will be reappointed to Sonora, Texas. You can continue to follow the lectionary if you wish on Pastor Mark channel. And hopefully you will see a link to that in this video. So, the Old Testament reading for June the 19th comes from 1 Kings 19, 1 through 16. Because of the length of that reading, I have reduced that for reading during Sunday worship to verses 2 through 6a and 8 through 13a. There's also going to be a little bit of introduction given to explain that Elijah is the prophet of the northern tribes, the 10 northern tribes of Israel, and that during this time, Ahab, the king, has a wife, Jezebel, and Jezebel is a supporter of the priests of Baal, fertility god. And there's this conflict, of course, between God, who's a jealous God, and those who worship this false god, Baal. Elijah has a contest. And during this contest, he not only shows the wonders of God and how superior God's power is to this pretend God, but rallies the people so that the priests of Baal that are there are slaughtered. News gets back to Jezebel. She is not happy. She basically puts a price on his head. And that's where the story begins, is Elijah's on the run. And he has to go all the way down, all the way past Jerusalem into Beersheba, which is the land of Judah, which is outside of the jurisdiction of Jezebel and the 10 northern tribes. He leaves his servants there, and then Elijah, fearing for his life, having done this wonderful thing and that nothing has changed. Imagine you pray all your life that the power of your God will be revealed to the people and they will rise up. And as they rise up to worship God, they will overthrow their false gods. All you need is one good miracle. You need the Red Sea to divide. You need death to pass over. You need something miraculous, just as the stories of old have told us, that God delivers God's people. And so here he has this contest. It's all come to a head. God's glory is revealed. The priests are killed. And the next day, everything is back to normal. And Jezebel has the power to kill him. And nothing has changed. And he has had enough. He goes off to die. Angel of the Lord comes to him, gives him food. He lays back down to die. Angel of the Lord wakes him up. He eats more. And then the angel of the Lord sends him on this trek, probably to Mount Sinai, where the burning of the bush was, where Moses was placed in the cleft of the rock as God passed by, this encountering the presence of God to go to this holy spot. We're not quite sure. We know that he was at Horeb, could have been to the north, but the similarities between the two should not be mistaken. And so he heads up and goes to where the Lord has placed him. To Horeb, the Mount of God. And how long does it take him to get there? 40 days and 40 nights. It takes as long as it takes to get there. Now, one of the problems we have about the names in the Bible is that there were a significant lack of maps. And different people call different places by similar names. And so there may be 2 or 3 or 4 Mount Horebs. According to one group and one majority of text, it's over here. But there usually will be some that say, no, it's according to our tradition, it's over here. The point is not the location. The point is not how long it took him to get there. The 40 days and 40 nights. Time of purification, a time of going through the wilderness. The point is what happens when he gets there. Remember, Elijah has banked everything on God's ability to work wonders and miracles. And so he goes, and like Moses, placed in the cleft of the rock. And then God's wonders are to behold, fire and earthquake and wind, and there's a whole list of things. And the list of things shows the power of the Holy Spirit, the elemental power of God. But God's not in any of those. God's not in the miracle. And then there's sure silence. And he encounters God. The reason why I say God is not in the miracle is because God is in all of creation, the miraculous and in the mundane. God is not limited to fancy shows of parting of Red Seas or healing or any of these things. Those are things that are used to catch our attention. But we live and move and have our being in God now. While you are watching this video, you are surrounded by the presence of God. In the still, small voice, when the distractions of the world are removed, when everything we use to keep ourselves busy set aside, we begin to perceive that God is with us. Through the joys, through the pains, through the ecstasies and the agonies. One of the interesting things is at one time, and in some places they still do, they dress up, put on your nicest outfits to go to church. But the truth is, God was with you in the shower this morning. God is with you at all times. God knows who you are without the trappings of success. God knows you. And what Elijah encountered was the sheer power of the presence of God. It's not about contests. It's not about, is my God better than your God? There is no God but God, for God is in all things. All things live and move and have their being in God. And when Elijah realizes this, he wraps his face in his mantle and stood at the entrance to the cave. He is ashamed for limiting God to miracles and not realizing that God was with him even after all the miracles were done, after the priests were killed, after Jezebel set this price on his head. God was with him. And he had nothing to fear. The question we have this week: when have you allowed the distractions of the world, the magic tricks, the flashes, the trappings of success, to distract you from the simple fact that right now you rest in God. God is with you in the silence and in the chaos, in the fire and the floods and the storms, and in the sleeping child laying in a crib on a silent night. God is with us. And if God is with us, is there any Jezebel that we need to fear?